Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining me. I'm Gina Ludwig, and this is Marketing Simplified, a no BS step-by-step guide for marketing your small business. And I wanted to mention really quickly that I did record this video a little while ago, but I decided to come on and do a really quick new introduction because we are in the middle of the coronavirus epidemic right now. And I know a lot of you are very fearful, very anxious. Some of you may have watched my other video that I put out addressing what's going on right now. If you haven't, you can check that out on my site. But I just wanted to remind you that really at the end of the day, whether we're dealing with crisis or not, building a successful business really comes down to hard work, perseverance, focusing on being of service, having an outstanding product or service, and really building a solid foundation. And marketing is such an important step in that foundation. So I really hope this video helps you. And like I said, if you need a little hope, a little guidance right now, getting through these uncertain times, definitely check out my other video. Thanks. So let me quickly go over some of the things I'm going to be going over in this video. First of all, the 3 phases of marketing. I'm going to tell you about those and how they all work together. I'm going to go over the 5 fundamentals of creating a marketing plan. So these are the things that really need to be in place before you go out there and start assertively marketing your business. I'm going to talk to you about the 6 most popular marketing strategies, and I'm going to kind of demystify those. I'm sure you've heard of them. Content marketing, digital marketing, social influence or social proof marketing, influencer marketing, one-to-one marketing, and advertising. So I'm going to go over those with you. I have over 100 marketing tactics that you can use. That's going to be a downloadable list that you can print out. And I'm going to go over some of those with you in this video. And then finally, I'm going to go through and help you create a really down-to-earth, very strategic, and very effective marketing plan. So I just mentioned it, but I also wanted to remind you that there is a workbook that comes along with this guide. So that's something you may want to print out, and that's just going to help you to work through the steps of creating that marketing plan. When I was putting together this training, I thought, I'm going to go out there and see what's out there. So if I am a small business owner and I want some help creating a marketing plan, what am I going to find out there? So I Googled small business marketing plan, free templates, and these are some of the things that I found. SWOT analysis, key performance indicators, environmental analysis, psychographic profile, executive summary, contribution margins. So I don't know about you guys, but I could give a crap about any of this stuff. I just know as a small business owner, you want to know how to market your business. It's just that simple. You're not in corporate America. You don't need to know a psychographic profile, whatever the heck that is. You just want to know how to market your business. Just help me market my business. So that's why I created this training and all the trainings I do. I try to simplify things. You don't need to have it be so complicated. And I think that's what happens with a lot of people is they just get so confused and overwhelmed and intimidated because they feel like they have to have this full-on corporate cover lettered marketing plan. You don't. I'm going to show you how to create a very simple, basic marketing plan that's going to help take your business where you want it to go. Let's start with the basics, and that is, what is marketing? Marketing is the strategies and tactics that you use to get your ideal market to know you, like you, trust you, and become a customer. This includes advertising, promotion, branding, publicity, public relations, sales, and follow-up. So then, what is a marketing plan? Well, a marketing plan is just a plan for how you're going to do it. That's it. And that's how I want you to think about it. It's really, really that simple. I want you to have that shift in mindset that it doesn't have to be complicated. It's basically a glorified to-do list, and I'm going to help you create that. It's just your plan for how you're going to market your business. That's it. So I'm going to start by going over the 3 phases of marketing. So yeah, before, during, and you guessed it, after. The before phase. So the before phase is determining who your ideal market is, what your marketing message is going to be, and where you will find these prospects, and then determining the strategies and tactics that you will use. The during phase is how you're going to gain the prospective client's trust, how you're going to follow up with them, and then how to get them to become a paying customer. And then your after phase is how you deliver that service, how you foster a long-term relationship with them and get them to refer you to their friends and family. The three phases obviously all work together, and most people do focus on the before. And honestly, that's where I am putting most of my focus as well. That's what really a lot of people want to know about. And there's more components, there's kind of more moving parts to the before phase. But I don't want you to forget about the during and after, because those are important as well. Once your prospect knows you, that's just the first step. You still need to get them to like and trust you. So even though we are focusing on the before phase, I'm going to go into the during and after a little bit. And again, I really want you to think about that as you're moving forward with your marketing efforts. So some of the things we're going to talk about in the before phase, which like I said, is going to really take up the majority of this training. I'm going to go into your business vision, your mission, your USP, which stands for unique selling proposition, or sometimes people say your unique selling position, your ideal customer, your marketing message, your resources, of course, because we all have different resources at different times. And then finally, of course, we're going to go into those strategies and tactics. Your vision. So in business, your vision is a vivid mental image of what you want your business to be at some point in the future based on your goals and aspirations. And a lot of people don't really think about this, but it's very, very important. I do another training that talks about the 8 essential areas for creating a successful business, and vision is one of them. You have to know where you're going. I like to have you imagine 5 years in the future and imagine what your ideal business looks like. What are you doing? What does your life look like? And we're going to get into that when we get into the exercise. But so important, and your vision is really going to guide you in your business decisions, in your marketing decisions. So don't gloss over this. Your vision for your business is very important. So here's a little example of a company's vision, Microsoft. Microsoft was founded on a vision of a computer on every desk and in every home. We have never wavered from that vision. I want you to take some time now, stop this video, get out your workbook or your notepad and pen, and I want you to think about if you could wave a magic wand and have your business be exactly how you want it to be, what would it look like? I encourage you to go somewhere quiet, close your eyes, think about what are you doing? Where are you working? Are you in an office? Are you working from home? Do you have staff that's working for you? Are you maybe traveling? Are you doing classes and workshops? What does that ideal business look like to you? And be as detailed as possible. And then take it one step further. If you were to create this vision, how would it change your life? What would having more time and money and freedom mean to you? What could you do? What could you do for yourself? What could you do for your family? What could you do for your community? Really take some time. And I want this vision to be something that fuels you as well and motivates you. So a lot of times in business, we can get bogged down in overwhelm and everything that we have to do, or we can kind of lose our motivation. And your vision is something that you can always come back to and remember what you're working towards. And that's really going to help to motivate you. Okay, so now that you're back and you've really have that vision of what you want your business to be moving forward, say in the next 5 years, I want to talk a little bit about your mission. So in business, your mission is the objective and purpose of your business. Why do you do what you do right now? And a lot of people say, well, like for the money, obviously, duh. that's a byproduct. That's not really why, or it shouldn't be why. We all want to make money. That's a given. Put that to the side. There's nothing wrong with money. Money is amazing. And again, we all want to make lots and lots and lots of money. But what is the deeper reason? Like, what is it that you're bringing to the world, bringing to other people? What is it that fuels you? Like, it's really important to figure this out. What is your why? Why do you do what you do? And I wanted to mention really quick, so mission statements have been around for a while, but this Simon Sinek, I think is how you pronounce it, did a TED Talk called Start with Why, and then he actually wrote a book as well. So if you might want to look that up. It's really great to kind of help you focus in and narrow down what your why is and why it's important. So I wanted to kind of give him a shout out because he did kind of make this idea of kind of starting with your why and what your mission is a little more popular. So I wanted to give you a few examples of mission statements. You don't necessarily have to create a quote unquote statement, but I just wanted to give you some ideas of different businesses and their missions. So our mission at Starbucks is to inspire and nurture the human spirit, one person, one cup, and one neighborhood at a time. Or LinkedIn. The mission of LinkedIn is simple: connect the world's professionals to make them more productive and successful. So again, if you want to take it kind of that one step further and create a mission statement, that's great. But just moving forward, because this is going to be something also that's going to not only motivate you, but it's really going to help you in figuring out your ideal customer and crafting your marketing message. So I want you to go ahead and take some time, pause this video, and what is your why? What are the objectives and purposes of your business? Why do you do what you do right now? So again, I encourage you, stop the video really quick, get out the workbook or your notepad and take some time and do this. Okay, now that you're back and you've hopefully taken some time and really figured out your vision, your mission, we're really laying that foundation to start diving into those marketing strategies and tactics. But I really want to get all this stuff figured out first so it gives you a really clear direction that we want to go. But your unique selling proposition. So what makes you special? Basically, like, why would someone choose you over someone else? And I've been in business. I've had my own businesses for over 20 years, and everything's changed now with the internet. Like it's just so much more oversaturated and competitive. That's not an excuse, but it's just you have to differentiate yourself in some way to really stand out and really be able to have a successful business. You have to figure out what makes you special. So I'm going to spend a few minutes on this because I really want to help you to kind of narrow it down. If you don't already know, if you don't already have something that you feel like truly makes you unique within your industry, I'm going to help you figure that out right now. An effective USP is going to fall under one of three basic categories. So the first one is niche. So that's going to be a subcategory, a very specialized area of your particular industry. We have a service USP, which that's going to be the way in which you package or perform your service. And then a style USP. So a style USP is going to be typically in a more visual industry, and that's going to be a certain style that you're known for. So I'm going to go into each of these now and explain them in a little bit more detail. Niche examples. So again, these are those kind of subcategories or specialties within an industry. Let's say you're a dog groomer. You may want to specialize in dogs with special needs. And let's say I am a dog owner and a dog lover, and my dog is really old and maybe he's gone blind, and I absolutely love my dog and I want her to be really well taken care of, and I'm nervous to have her groomed because I want to make sure that someone's going to really take care of her. And I'm looking for a dog groomer, I'm online or whatever, and I all of a sudden come across a dog groomer who this is their specialty. It's like, yes, this is exactly what I'm looking for. And that's what you want to aim to create, is when a potential client is searching through the sea of possibilities within your industry, you want them to come across you and be like, yes, that is my person. That's who I need to go with. So a few more examples. is a photographer who maybe specializes in weddings, or even better, specializes in just beach weddings. Or maybe a personal trainer who specializes in female fitness competitors. So again, let's say I'm a female fitness competitor and I really want to get in the best shape. There's a certain look that I need to obtain to be able to compete in these competitions, and I come across a personal trainer that's all they do. It's just kind of a no-brainer. And that's, again, what I want to have you try and create for your business, is that it just becomes a no-brainer for people to choose you over everyone else. So now the next example is a service USP. So examples of a service USP would be like Dry Bar. When Dry Bar came around, now they also could fit into the niche category because they just did blow dries, but blow dries aren't anything new, but it's like the way that they packaged them is just so new and unique that it made them stand out. Another example is like Mod Pizza, or these pizza places that you can make your own pizza. There have been pizza places around forever, but then all of a sudden they figured out a different way to package it and provide the service. So it makes them very, very unique. Or another great example is IKEA. Tons of furniture stores out there, but IKEA really kind of stands alone. They're the only company that I know of, especially on the scale that they are, that offers very, very affordable furniture that you have to put together yourself. So those are some examples of a service USP. And then finally, we have some style examples. So like I said, this would be more if you're in kind of a visual industry. So let's say you're a tattoo artist who's known for doing single color flower designs. So again, if I'm looking for a tattoo artist and that's what I want, and I come across your website, your Facebook, your probably more Instagram than Facebook, but your Instagram, and it's like every single picture is a single color flower design, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. I'm like, yes, you're my person. Another example would be, let's say, like an interior designer who's known for doing very soft feminine designs, or a photographer who's known for doing very dark and edgy looks. So I want to make a note as well that just because you have a niche or a style USP doesn't mean that you necessarily have to only do those things. So let's say you're that photographer and you're known for doing very dark, edgy looks, and this gorgeous couple found you and you did their wedding. But then let's say that this couple has a baby and they want to do some baby photos, and maybe they don't want it to be dark and edgy, but they absolutely loved you and they loved your style. So they maybe come back to you. You know, you don't have to turn that client down, but I definitely wouldn't use those photos in my marketing. I wouldn't put them on my website. I wouldn't put them on my social media. I would really keep everything in my marketing efforts and in everything that people come in contact with in line with that USP. I wanted to go over with you also some tough USPs. So these are a few things that people sometimes want to hang their hat on, but they're really tough to stand out in the marketplace using this approach. So the first one is price. A couple different problems with having your USP be price. And obviously, if it's price, it's the lowest price. No one's going to have a USP that's the most expensive. So when you have a USP that is the lowest price, two things. Number one, you don't really have anywhere to go from there. You can't really be raising your prices because then you lose that unique position in the industry. So that's one reason. The second reason is that having your lowest price be your USP, you're really dependent on scaling your business. So in order for you to have a successful business model, you really have to do a large volume of business in order to make it worth your while. The second one is customer service. So a lot of people and some of the clients that I work with, when I'm kind of helping them figure out their USP, they want to, again, hang their hat on this one, on customer service. And it's like, we have the best customer service. And I really hate to break it to them, but customer service should be a given. In this oversaturated, overcompetitive marketplace we have right now, customer service is just something that you have to offer. It's really shouldn't be a unique selling proposition. If that is what you really want to have set you apart, then you have to be willing to do backbends and somersaults for your customers. I mean, customer service that just goes above and beyond, like 100% money back guarantee. So I would suggest that instead of going with price or customer service, you really focus on either that niche, that service, or that style USP. Now it's time for you to take some time and let's think about what is your USP. What does or could make you unique? So maybe you're watching this and you're like, crap, I have no idea. Like, I know that I do have great customer service and I know I'm really, really great at what I do, but I don't know what makes me stand out. Or maybe you're all of a sudden realizing that you do have a USP and you never realized it. Like, maybe you do have a very, very distinct style, but it's kind of been mixed in with everything else that you do. So now you can kind of start to figure out how you can start moving in the direction of focusing on that USP. So again, those different categories would be niche, service, or style. So go ahead and stop this video, take out your workbook, and figure out what is your USP. So now I want to talk a little bit about your ideal customer. So here's a few examples. So you have a sweet, older, probably retired couple, a tattooed millennial, or a new mom. And a lot of my clients will say to me, well, I service everyone. Like, everyone can use my product or service. And that may be true, but think about it. Like, you're not going to talk to all of these people the same way. You're not going to use the same verbiage. You're not going to attract these people in the same way. You know, this older couple is probably not going to be scrolling through Instagram every day. You're not going to be communicating the same way with all of these people. You know, you're not going to probably call the millennial because they're going to be like, who's calling me? Who makes phone calls? You're going to maybe text them, where you wouldn't probably text the older couple. So you get the idea. It's like, it's really important, especially when it comes to crafting your marketing message and figuring out the best marketing methods to use. You really have to narrow down on this ideal customer. Some of the questions you'll want to ask yourself when you're thinking about your ideal customer are age, gender, interests and hobbies, location, average income, and level of education. So these are kind of the basics. But I want you to take it even one step further and ask yourself things like, where do they hang out? Where do they get their information? What are their goals? What is their preferred form of communication, like I talked about before? Are you going to text them? Are you going to email them? Are you going to call them? What phrases and language do they use? So especially with the examples I gave you before, that millennial is going to definitely have different phrases and language than an older retired couple. And finally, and most importantly, what problem or problems do they have that you can solve and that you can solve better than anyone else? Now it's time for you to take some time and think about who is your ideal customer. We talked about, you know, their age, their gender, where do they hang out, what are their goals, and especially what problems do they have that you can solve. As you're writing these things out, I really encourage you to start imagining this person in front of you. Imagine this, you know, create this kind of avatar, what they look like, again, where they're hanging out, what they're doing with their time. Really, the more detailed that you can get, the better, and the easier it's going to be to start crafting that marketing message and figuring out what the best strategies and tactics are. Okay, so now that you're back and we have gone through your vision, your mission, your USP, and your ideal customer, the final thing we're going to talk about, that these, again, I've said before, these 5 things: vision, mission, USP, ideal customer, and what we're going to get into right now, your marketing message. All of those things are going to make all of your marketing efforts so much easier. So, your marketing message. Let's talk a little bit about what you are selling. And it's not your product or service. I mean, it is, but in terms of marketing, it's not. It is what your product or service will provide for your customer. So, I want you to remember that people buy with emotion and then they justify with reason. And the 8 biggest motivating factors for purchasing decisions are fear, vanity, profit or gain, acceptance, pleasure, peace of mind, health, and then finally solving problems. So your marketing message, what problem or problems does your ideal customer have? And then how can you solve their problems better than anyone else? How can you communicate this to them in a way that they will relate to? And then finally, how can you reach your ideal customer emotionally? Now, before we go on, I want to get really clear on something. This is not about being manipulative. I just absolutely hate that. You're not trying to prey or play on people's emotions. This really is about being genuine and authentic and truly helping people. So it's not, again, it's not about tricking them. It's not about being manipulative. I really want you to think about when you're thinking about those emotions, how can you really help people and be there for them in a genuine and authentic way? Instead of your marketing message, which to me always seems like it just sounds like, again, like manipulation or like I'm tricking you. I'm going to craft the perfect marketing message to trick you into using my service. Instead of your marketing message, I want you to think about it just as your message. This is the message that you want to send to your ideal customers. So I'm going to use myself as an example. And these are kind of the basics of how I'm relating to my ideal clients on a personal and an emotional level. So I know it can be confusing. I know how many options you have and what it takes to be a small business owner. It can be very, very confusing. I know you can feel overwhelmed. We have to wear so many hats as an entrepreneur, and it can be absolutely overwhelming. I know you can feel scared. A lot of times people don't talk about this. When you tell someone that you have your own business, what do they say to you? You're so lucky. And it's not luck. I mean, but we are very, very fortunate to do what we do. But what people don't talk about is the fear and the doubt that creeps in as a small business owner. No matter what stage of business you're in, you're always going to at points have this fear and doubt that creep into your head. So I get that. I know you want a better life. I know what your goal is, that you want to have more time and money and freedom. And that's what we all want as small business owners. And everyone wants that. Everyone wants a better life. So I get you. I understand you. I really want to help you. And this is how I can. So that's how I begin kind of crafting my message. And obviously, I want you to think about your industry and what you offer and how you can connect with your customers on an emotional level to really create that authentic message. So I want to go over now some of the most important rules when it comes to your marketing message. First of all, don't be afraid to speak directly to your ideal customer. So again, don't, you're going to speak differently to, an 85-year-old couple than you are to a tattooed millennial. So don't be afraid to speak directly to your ideal customer. Be brave, be bold. I know that it's hard to put yourself out there and share your message, but you have to be brave in business. Don't be boring and generic. And again, be authentic. So again, I know that it's hard to put yourself out there. Like we all want to be loved and accepted and validated, and we want people to like us. So it's scary sometimes to put yourself out there and to find your voice and to find your message. So I'm going to give you a little kind of mantra because I even deal with this. I'm human, like we all do. Again, we all want to be accepted. So my little mantra is when I'm getting those little voices in my head of like, you sound stupid, that people aren't going to understand that. That's okay. I'm not talking to you. So are you going to get people, if you're willing to be brave and be bold and speak directly to your customer, are you going to have people that are scratching their head and not quite sure where you're coming from? Absolutely. But you know what? That's okay. I'm not talking to you. Your people, the people that you're going to connect with, the people that are going to be your ideal clients that you're going to love to work with, they're going to get you. And don't worry about anyone else. Just remember, that's okay. I'm not talking to you. Let's look at some examples. So say I am a woman and I'm looking for a divorce attorney. So these first examples are ones that I found online. Highest quality divorce attorney. Talk to a trusted attorney today. Very boring, very generic. And I mean, come on. Like I want to talk to an untrustworthy attorney? California divorce attorneys, divorce lawyers with 30 years experience. That's really great. There's something to be said for experience, but at the end of the day, what are you going to do for me? I really, really looked for some really great examples. I was really hoping that I could find something online of someone that was doing this right, but I just couldn't find anything. So I crafted a few messages. So look at these compared to the ones that I just shared with you. Caring and compassionate attorneys. We know you're scared and we're here to help. They're not afraid to speak directly to that ideal customer. We know you're scared. So this ideal customer might be someone that's, say, a stay-at-home mom that's never really worked. She's got 2 young kids. She's scared to death, and she's really looking for someone that's going to hold her hand and let her know that everything's going to be okay. Aggressive, all-female law firm. The sooner you know your rights, the more power you have. Same service, completely different message, completely different ideal customer. This is going to be someone that's like a bulldog, like even the verbiage, aggressive, power. This is that woman, your ideal client, who's like, I'm not taking any crap. Let's do this. So again, you can see where those different marketing messages, they really speak directly to a very specific ideal customer. So a little trick that might help you kind of start to craft your message is to think about different themes for your message, or even different products or services that you may provide. And I tried to pick something that wasn't so emotionally charged. So let's say that you build custom saltwater pools. Some of the things that you might want to focus on. I'm from California, so you might want to focus on kind of that California lifestyle and kind of the imagery that brings to mind. Or the sunshine, again, the feeling of just being outside in the warm sun and how that makes you feel. Friends and family, that's huge. Again, like thinking about having this beautiful pool and this beautiful area where you can have your kids and your grandkids and you're eating and drinking and laughing and really enjoying each other and connecting. That just really touches an emotion in people. Health benefits. Doing saltwater pools as opposed to chlorine. So there's going to be people, they don't want those chemicals. They want something that's a healthier choice, a healthier alternative. So that's something you could focus on. Less stress. I mean, look at that woman floating in the pool. It's like, oh, that's heaven. So having this pool is going to really bring less stress into your life, and you're going to have this place that you can go and just relax. So take some time, and I want you to think about, what is your message? And if it helps, think about different themes for your message so you can kind of organize them. How do you help people? And what are you passionate about? So I want you to also know this is going to be a work in progress. I don't expect you to sit down right now and create the perfect message, but get the ball rolling, get your juices flowing, and then come back to it. And another thing I want to point out is that it's very important that you're testing these messages. So when you do get out there and you start doing some marketing, don't change the core of your message, but change the verbiage, change the style of it, and see what works best. So it's really important with all of your marketing that you really do some testing and see what resonates with people. Okay, so let's do a little recap. Once you've determined where you're going, your vision, why you do what you do, your mission, and what makes you special, your USP, who you're selling to, your ideal customer, and what you're really selling, those emotions, what you're going to say, your message. You now need to determine how and where you're going to market, which are your strategies and tactics. So I hope that you can see by, starting with those first 5 steps, that really sets the foundation for moving forward with your strategies and tactics. I'm really hoping that in your mind, you're starting to see things a little more clearly, like the path is starting to become more visible. So let's go ahead and get into strategies and tactics. But before we do that, I want to go over what strategies and tactics are. So your strategy is your plan or set of goals. And then your tactics are the specific actions or steps you undertake to accomplish your strategy. Now, I do want to make a note about this. Like, a lot of people get hung up on this. Like, what is a strategy? What is a tactic? What's the difference? And this is where people get into extreme overwhelm and intimidation. So again, kind of going back to the beginning of this video, it's like, it doesn't have to be some crazy complicated thing. I want you to right now just throw out the labels of strategy and tactics, because they overlap and they all kind of work together. So when people are like, what's your marketing strategy? It's like, well, you're going to have a lot of different strategies. You're going to have a lot of different tactics. But where I think the quote unquote labels come in handy is when you're kind of categorizing and just for my purposes of explaining them to you. I am going to go over different types of quote unquote marketing strategies. But again, don't get hung up on the label as far as like what strategy. You're going to be using a lot of these different strategies. So number 1 is content marketing. Number 2, influencer. Number 3, digital, and these are in no particular order. 4 is advertising, social proof marketing, and one-to-one. So I'm going to go into each one of these individually. Now, these are kind of, terms that have been out there, but I have kind of taken them and made them my own as far as categorizing. So I'm going to show you all of that right now. So let's start with content marketing. I'm sure a lot of you, that's kind of like the craze right now, content marketing. And just so you know too, with all of these, most of these strategies, I pulled off a definition from the internet, and then I'm going to give you kind of my simplified definition. So the online definition: content marketing is a marketing approach focused on creating and distributing valuable and relevant content to attract and retain a clearly defined audience, and ultimately to drive profitable customer action. So, I mean, that does explain what it is, but even that sentence is kind of like a little confusing. So my simplified definition: I give you something, content, and you give me something. Normally typically your contact information or maybe your time. So this is right here, this video is like the perfect example of content marketing. I'm giving you my knowledge, my expertise, my experience, and you've given me your contact information so I can hopefully keep in touch with you, let you know when I'm doing workshops, if I have some specials, if I have some other valuable content that I want to share with you. So content marketing is, again, just simply, I give you something, you give me something. And this is a great technique, strategy for targeting cold prospects. So cold prospects are people that don't know anything about you and sometimes don't even realize that they have a problem or need a service. So for instance, like with, what I ultimately, my service that I offer is business consulting and workshops and programs. So you may have downloaded this video and wanted that information, but by the end of this, you may be like, shoot, you know what? I really could use a business consultant. That'd be kind of cool. So it's great for cold prospects to get them to become warm and hot and know about you and know about your service. So here's some examples of content marketing: blog, public speaking, apps, videos, ebooks, reports, white papers, newsletters. You may want to give away a magazine. You may want to do workshops or seminars or classes, special events, giveaways, podcasts, and then even like I have a meetup group. So again, I give my time to them and they give me their time and their contact information. But it doesn't have to all be like videos and workshops. So you can see on here I have like giveaways. So you may want to do a little giveaway or even like I don't have that on here actually, but even like a promotion or, something like that where you collect people's information. So that is content marketing. Digital marketing. So again, digital marketing is like all the buzz. Like, what's your digital marketing strategy? And I'm a digital marketing specialist. So the online definition, digital marketing is the marketing of products or services using digital technologies on the internet, through mobile phone apps, display advertising, and any other digital mediums. So simplified, anything that's done on any digital device. So it's just that simple. It's, it is all your social media, your Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, all of that. It's your email marketing, it's your text marketing, it's your voice searches like Siri and that. It's your Google, your SEO, your Yelp, your website, like anything that's done on any digital device is digital marketing. Influencer marketing. So this is another one that's kind of like all the rage right now. And the online definition, influencer marketing is a form of social media marketing involving endorsements and product placement from influencers, people and organizations who have an expert level of knowledge or social influence in their field. So when you say when you talk about an influencer, it's kind of a newly coined term, and you talk about influencer marketing, 99% of people, I don't know how many percent, but most people think about social media, like influencers equals social media. But I really, again, have kind of taken it on as my own because I think that an influencer and influencer marketing is really marketing to and connecting with anyone who has access to and influence over your ideal potential customer. So I will talk about, when I talk about influencer marketing, of course you have your online influencers, but you also have what I call IRL or in real life influencers. And there's a lot of industries and a lot of people that can fall into this category and where this marketing strategy is really great. And I'm going to give you kind of a real world example. So one of my businesses that I had in the past was a bridal business. It was a bridal beauty agency. And when I started that business many years ago, there was no social media. I didn't even use a computer to run my business. That's how long ago I had that business. So at that time, I really didn't know a whole lot about business, but I just knew like, okay, well, like where can I find brides? And I thought, well, brides get married at hotels a lot of times. So I made up some brochures and had them printed. And I went around with I'd usually take like some cookies or candy or something in my little brochures and went from hotel to hotel and gave my brochures and introduced myself to the catering manager or the event planner there. That's influencer marketing. I'm marketing to and connecting with someone, the wedding coordinator, the catering manager, who has access to and influence over my ideal potential customer who is a bride. So I'm going to kind of give you another like little example too of this and just that kind of that power of connecting one-on-one with people. So of those marketing efforts, obviously we got lots of different referrals from different hotels, but we happened to get in with Disneyland Hotel, which is I'm in Orange County. So that's one of the areas that we serviced. And Disneyland Hotel they actually have three different hotels, and they do like hundreds, God, I mean, maybe thousands. I don't know. They do so many weddings. They do weddings like every day of the week. So just getting in with that one hotel using this in real life influencer marketing, we used to do probably 100 weddings a year just at Disneyland Hotel. So anyways, that's just kind of wanted to give you kind of an example on the power of this influencer marketing. It's one of my favorite, if your industry is appropriate for this, it's just one of my favorite strategies. And here's some more examples. So we talked about online, IRL, networking events, joint ventures, affiliates, free products and services. So that kind of goes along with the whole marketing strategy, this tactic. So again, like that's one of the strategies that I use. So not only would I take in little candies and cookies, you know, these hotels or these bridal coordinators that were really giving me a lot of business. I would do their hair and makeup for free. I would have my girls go out. I would send girls out to them, do their hair and makeup for special events or for a photo shoot or whatever they needed. Because they, again, they were kind of these gatekeepers that it's like if they were happy, if they loved us, and they knew how good they were going to tell other people. So your referrals, your endorsements, there's a technique, a tactic called shock and awe, and I did not come up with that. That's a legitimate thing. You can Google that. So that's a marketing tactic. And basically what that is to really like send out some extreme, impressive, either marketing tool or gift or something to get in. Obviously that's going to work more and better on your high ticket items. I mean, if your average sale is $100, this is probably is not a technique that's going to be appropriate for your business. But if you gain a new client and that client ends up being, you know, $5,000-$10,000 client, then, you know, this is one of the tactics that you may want to spend a little money on. So just kind of a fun little example of a shock and awe. I don't know if how many of you have seen The Office, but it's my absolute favorite TV show of all time. And there's an episode where Michael and Dwight, and I think they had someone else with them, I can't remember, but they took around these big gift baskets to all these clients that used to be clients and weren't anymore. And so they were trying to impress them. So that's kind of like a little shock and awe technique. So the kind of the little sister of shock and awe is the term that I came up with, and that's surprise and delight. So, you know, you're not like blowing their socks off, but I never really like to go anywhere without bringing something. So like usually in my workshops, I mean, even if it's something silly like having waters there, or like I talked about going to these hotels and bringing little cookies or candy, like they're not like, oh my God, it's amazing, but they're like, oh, they're surprised and delighted. Like that was sweet. So I love those techniques. And again, there's certain industries that those are really going to be great, great, great techniques to get in with influencers and really connect one-on-one. Advertising. Advertising is a marketing tactic involving paying for space to promote a product, service, or cause. I didn't do a simplified definition because this is pretty simple and everyone knows what advertising is. So, you know, nowadays, of course, huge search engines, your Google AdWords, social media advertising is huge. You've got industry websites, service websites, coupons, direct mailers, Groupon, publications, television, radio, outdoor advertising. You get the point. Advertising is pretty cut and dry. I mean, there's certainly different idiosyncrasies and details about each one, especially your search engines and social media, but everyone knows what advertising is. Social proof marketing. So again, this is kind of with the whole internet, this has kind of become a new phenomenon. And so social proof is a psychological phenomenon where people conform to the actions of others under the assumption that those actions are reflective of the correct behavior. Bottom line, we're all living in a world of a lot of followers, and we're all guilty of it. It's, you know, we're kind of looking to like, what is everyone else doing? So there's certain strategies that you can use that will really up your social proof. My simplified, and what I like to call it, is I'll have what she's having marketing. So some examples of this, you know, are your reviews, your testimonials, product placement, local sponsorships, or getting involved in your community, user testimonials, business credentials, like, you know, getting and having more business credentials that kind of up your impressiveness, public relations, styled shoots, social media. We talked about influencers, expert approval, celebrity endorsements, gifting suites. So anything that kind of makes you seem more important and that more people are following you and liking you and using your service, it's going to inspire other people to want to do the same. Finally, we have one-to-one marketing. So I didn't really find a definition for this, and I kind of put everything that was left after I kind of categorized everything else seemed to really fit into this one-to-one marketing. So my definition is One-to-one marketing is marketing in which the goal is to connect one-to-one with the customer, to introduce yourself, make a connection, and gain trust. So it's going to be things like canvassing, like going door to door, cold calling. Snail mail would be kind of a one-to-one, like postcards, or sending like personalized letters to someone probably would be more appropriate to the one-to-one. Conventions where you're kind of in front of people and you're connecting with people. Shows, having salespeople are doing one-to-one sales calls. Personal shoppers, customized recommendations, and then your CRM kind of falls under that. That's your customer relationship management. How you that's kind of more of a tool that you use within that strategy to really connect with people and stay in touch with them. So your strategies and your tactics work hand in hand. And I've mentioned before, but I'll mention it again. Don't get hung up on the labels. As you can see, a lot of those different things work hand in hand. So let's kind of go back to even this video, or even a better example would be, let's say, my one-on-one workshops. So I decided to do a workshop, and I'm going to give a free workshop in exchange for getting someone's contact information. So that's content marketing, but I need to advertising on social media, digital marketing. So I'm going to do an ad on, social media, and that's my digital marketing. And then when people come to the workshop, I'm going to maybe show them like some testimonials, and that's going to be my social proof. So you can kind of get and then also it's, one-to-one. So my point is, you can see where these strategies and these tactics all work hand in hand and kind of overlap each other. So use the strategies, the categories, just to kind of categorize them in your head, but don't worry about feeling like you have to have a label for what strategy you're using. You're going to use all of them probably. I want to talk for a minute about your resources, because that is going to play a big part in the direction you go with your marketing. So at any time, your three main resources that you have in your business and in your marketing are time, money, and creativity. So let's say you're starting a business and you just have like almost no money. You're starting on just a super small budget. You just need to have more time and creativity. I don't want you to ever think that you can't market your business without money. Of course, if you have a lot of money, that is much easier and it's definitely helpful the more money you have to market, but you don't have to have a lot of money to market your business. And here I've given you a few examples. You can see there's quite a few examples if you're low on cash. There's so many things that you can do. Again, you have to get a little more creative. You have to spend a little bit more time, but you can do it. There are a lot of things you can do if you're low on cash. So I want to do a little recap, because that's pretty much with the before. So I'm going to do a little recap on the before. I'm going to go through a little bit of the during and after, and then we're going to get into it and do your marketing plan, your step-by-step. So we went over your vision. Hopefully you've taken the time and you've gotten really clear on that. And I want that to motivate you. I want that to keep you excited about your business. And if there are times that fear or that doubt starts to come creeping in, I want you to take a little time and reconnect with that vision and reconnect with like where you're going and how exciting that life is going to be when you get there. Like I get excited thinking about it because I know where I want to take my business. And I know what that's going to mean to my life. And so that keeps me motivated when I have those days. I'm just like, oh, I mean, I love what I do with a passion, but even as much as you love what you do, you're going to have those days where you're like, oh, I just don't want to get out of bed. So that vision is going to really help you in those times to put a fire under your butt and keep you going. And then your mission, that can kind of do the same thing. So it's like, you know what? Again, I talk a lot about kind of like mindset and stuff, but a lot of times we do really start to like freak out if we're not, we all have bills to pay. And sometimes it's like, our business isn't doing as well as we want it to do. And we're just like, oh, I just need to make more money. And so we all of a sudden start to shift our focus to like, I need to make more money. And again, there's nothing wrong with money. Money's amazing. But when you tip those scales and you start doing things strictly motivated by money, I truly believe that comes from a fear mentality. So so I encourage you to stay focused on your mission. Why are you doing what you're doing? How do you help people? And I want you to know that really, I truly believe that if you stay focused on that vision and that mission, the money will come. So your vision, your mission, your USP, we talked about, so important that you figure out what makes you unique. Your ideal customer, so important that you know who you're talking to and how you're going to be talking to them. And then your marketing message, which I realized I should have put on here, your message. So what's your message? What do you want to say to people? What do you want to say to your ideal customer? Your resources, take that into consideration. What's going to, when we're kind of going into the next steps as far as creating your strategies and tactics. I mean, obviously, you know what your budget is, you know how much time you have. So those things are going to definitely come into consideration. And then your strategies and tactics. So now I want to go over, we went through the before phase and all of that entails, and it's a lot of information. And I do briefly just want to go over the during phase. So this is, if you remember, the like and trust phase. So this is what happens after you've put those strategies and tactics in motion and you've got a ton of new interested clients pouring in. Now it's like, that's not enough. Like, you've got their attention, but you've got to keep their attention and you've got to gain their trust and you've got to, I don't want to say convince them. I like to say inspire them to want to work with you. So this is things like your website and your social media. I know we all have a little bit of website shame. It's kind of like we all feel like our website can even just be that little bit better. But you want to at least make sure that your website is very easy to navigate. You want to make sure that it's in line with your vision and your mission. I haven't really talked a lot about brand, but kind of your brand, that kind of makes up your brand, is your vision, your mission, and your USP, and your ideal customer, and your marketing message. So are all those things in line? Are you sending a message with your marketing that when people come to your website is inconsistent? If so, there's a saying in business, if you lose them, if you confuse them, you lose them. So you really want to make sure everything's consistent with your website and your social media. Your initial contact. So how are you contacting them when someone calls you or emails you or messages you? What's kind of your system for contacting them? How quickly do you contact them? Your communication with them. So a lot of times when people get an interested client on the phone or email, and I think this is done because it's like what most people do. So everyone's just kind of doing the same thing. But if you look around to different businesses and websites, it's very much focused on the business. So people will send information, send out like pricing, and they'll be like, we've been in business this long. We do great service. This is what we do. This is who we are. It's all about them. Really so important to keep focused on the customer. And a really great way to do this is just inquire. Ask them questions. Find out what they need, what they want, what's important to them. So that communication's super, super important in that during phase. Your marketing materials. So if you do send out any brochures or proposals or business cards, make sure those are all really up to par and in line. They're easy to understand, and all the verbiage and the imagery is in line with your brand. And then your social proof. So this is your during. This is when people are checking you out. It's kind of like, who is this person? And they're really looking to find out more about you. So your social proof, your social media, your testimonials, your referrals, those are all things that are going to really help someone gain trust. And then your follow-up system. So I'm going to give you kind of another like real world example of how important this is. So years back when I still had my beauty agency, and I did a little competition shopping, and I, emailed a bunch of different companies and asked for information, and pretty much everyone sent me their pricing and their information, but I was completely blown away that I would say easy 80% of people never ever followed up with me. They sent me information one time and then never followed up again. And I just read a statistic, and I'm sure this is probably varies per industry, but that people expect to be contacted 5 times and followed up with before kind of making a decision. So I know you sometimes feel like maybe you're bugging people, but people get busy, and I know I appreciate, excuse me, just because I haven't necessarily gotten right back to someone that I'm interested in doesn't mean I'm not interested. I just get busy and I'm doing every other things. So I appreciate when someone follows up with me. Like, obviously I don't want them to be obnoxious and like salesy, but just like, hey, how you doing? I just wanted to remind you, remember you said you needed to get your, chimney swept or what, like, so I appreciate being followed up with. I'm sure most people do. So make sure you have some kind of a system. And when I say system, it should be something that's consistent and documented. So you don't have to continue to reinvent the wheel. Figure out what works and then create a system based on that. And then finally, for the during phase, ease of use or convenience. People are very motivated by saving time and saving energy. So you want to make sure everything about your website, everything about getting information, everything about booking your service is very easy and very convenient. So some of the things that I'm going to kind of go into this with you a little more when we're going the step by step in the marketing plan. But, is there a way that you can add like online booking, online payments, just anything that you can do, frequently asked questions page, like anything you can do to save people time and energy is going to help them to like and trust you more. Okay, so let's go into the after phase a little bit. So performance. So basically that is the after phase. So after they know about you and then they contact you and you give them information and they say, yeah, you're my person, you're my company, I'm going to go with you, and they give you their money. Now the after phase, it doesn't stop there. You want to create lifetime value with these customers. So how do you actually perform that service or product? I work mostly with service businesses. That's why I talk more about services. But how do you deliver that service or that product? And most importantly, like, did you live up to your promises? Did you live up to your message? Did you over deliver, which is great. We always want to look to try to over deliver wherever we can. So just make sure that service is really, you feel like you're on point. If you have people working for you, which I do a whole nother thing about, leadership and people, but basically make sure everyone that works for you, or if it's just you, they're really following through on that promise and really providing an excellent service. Customer service. So again, how quickly do you get back to people? How flexible are you? And this is really important, like, what do you do? What are your policies for when something goes wrong? Like, we're all human. No one's perfect, and there's going to be times where you're late or something happens or it doesn't go perfectly. So how do you make up for that? How do you handle disappointment in customers with your customer service? So important. Follow up. So how do you follow up with people, to thank them for the service, for hiring you, or to find out what you could have done better, whatever. So do you have a way to follow up after you've done the service for them? And then do you have a testimonial or referral system? So again, I say system. You want to have a proactive approach and a system for collecting those testimonials and those referrals. And I know there's a lot of like online software and that type of thing, so you can check into that, but I strongly suggest that you look into some kind of system. Loyalty programs. A lot of people are very motivated. Like, if you have the type of service or business that is ongoing, then creating some kind of loyalty program is really, people really like that, inspires them, and it's fun for them. And then finally, subscriptions and memberships. Like, this has become such a huge business model, and for good reason. People, it's just kind of that consistency, and usually like if you offer memberships or subscriptions, it's something that like you can offer your service at a little lower price and that inspires them, but then you have that consistent service coming in and that consistent money. So if you have a business that either people gain access to information, so there are some like subscription programs that like pay me 20 bucks a month and then you have access to all my videos, that type of thing, like, masterclass is like the ideal example of that. Or again, services, like if it's some kind of ongoing membership. So I know like Dry Bar has a monthly membership, or Massage Envy, that type of thing. So now is the fun part. We're going to start creating your marketing plan. So this is where, before we get started, you are going to want to have a notebook or that workbook. You're going to definitely want to print out that complete list of marketing ideas, because that we are going to use this when we're creating your marketing plan. So it's a 10-step plan, and I'm going to go through it right now. And then when we're done, you're going to have a marketing plan. So in step one, you're going to want to prepare for all the new ideal prospects that are going to be pouring into your business. So you want to look at things like your brand. Your brand is kind of your overall, the impression that people get from everything they come in contact with your business. So most important is you really want that brand to represent who you are, to appeal to your ideal customer, to really get across that marketing message in every way, including, everything we've talked about, plus again, your website and even your fonts and your verbiage and your imagery and your everything makes up your brand. Your website, which is a part of that. So we talked about making sure that it's in line with everything. Again, the verbiage, the imagery, that it's easy to navigate, all those things. Your social media, maybe you've neglected your social media a little bit, and people definitely do check out social media when they're looking into a new company. So you may want to put some effort into your social media before you start getting a whole bunch of new interested clients pouring in. Your interested client system. So what is the system for when someone does come to you and want information? How do you get that information to them? And then how do you follow up with them? So you definitely want to create a follow-up system. And then finally, convenience. So we talked about, is there a way you can add online booking or online payments? Whatever you can do to make the experience more convenient for people is going to really help. So you're going to kind of think about this right now. There is a worksheet that you can go through, and I want you to write out everything that you feel like you need to do in order to prepare for bringing in new interested clients. And then we're going to write that on your to-do list in a few steps. Step 2. So now this is where you're going to get that big long list of marketing ideas. And it is pretty long, but this should be pretty quick to go through. So you're going to go through your entire list that I gave you, and you're going to ask yourself these questions. Is it in line with your vision? Is it in line with your mission? Does it support your USP? Does it appeal to your ideal prospect? Does it make sense for your business? There's going to be certain things on there that it's like, oh, this doesn't even make sense. So obviously those aren't going to be your tactics that you're going to use. And then something I haven't talked about, like, does it excite you? So there's certain things I know that I just get like super excited about. Like I was telling you, I loved doing the in real life influencer marketing where I went to hotels. That was exciting to me. I love doing that. You may not love that, so don't do that. But I do want to also point out, don't not do something because you're scared. So there might be a lot of things on there that you're like, well, this doesn't excite me. It scares the crap out of me. Like, I want to do videos. Like, I'd love to do a workshop. Like, that'd be so cool, and that would be so good for my business, but I'm scared to death. Don't let that stop you. Don't leave that on your list, because that's something that you can work towards. I know for me, believe it or not, like I really do. I have kind of a little bit of social anxiety. So it's not the most comfortable thing for me to make videos or to even sometimes do these workshops. Like I get a little, butterflies in my stomach. I love doing them and I love connecting with people, but they scare me a little bit. But you know what? That's okay. It's like the more I do it, the easier and the easier and the easier it becomes. So Does it excite you, or does it excite you but maybe scare you a little bit? That's okay. And so if the answer is no to any of these questions for any of the things on the list, you're just going to cross it off. So now you have your complete marketing list. Everything that's not crossed off, this is your complete marketing list. Now, this isn't your marketing plan, but it's just your complete marketing list. And if there is anything that's not on the list that is you think would be a good marketing tactic or strategy to use, add it to the list. And then also email me, because I really am tried to think of everything I could think of, but I'm sure I've probably forgotten something. So if there's something not on the list, email me, add it to the list. And then this is now your complete, like I said, marketing list. This is everything that you may want to do now or in the future to market your business. And I have a little tip for this step too. I suggest that you go through and you create a Google Doc and you put this entire list on that document. This is going to allow you to not only organize it, but you'll be able to add resources for future reference. So let's say, for instance, you really want to do a content marketing campaign. You think that'd be really cool to create an ebook and then market that. But like you have so much else going on. You have other things that are taking priority. So you know you want to do it, but you're probably not going to get to that for a couple months. So now it's on your list. And let's say you all of a sudden come across an article about content marketing, or maybe a landing page that you really think looks cool. You can just copy and paste that link and put it in your document under your content marketing heading. And then the other thing you can do too is when ideas come to your head, because we are idea people, we're entrepreneurs. So I don't know if you're anything like me, like you've got 20 million ideas in your brain at any one moment. So these Google Docs really help me to get them out of my head so I can focus on the task at hand, but know that I can always go back and reference that when the time is right. And I like Google Docs because you can put them on your phone and your computer, so you have access to it pretty much anytime an idea pops in your head. So if all of a sudden you're, sitting having coffee and you think about, you all of a sudden this idea comes to you of a great ebook title, you can just really quick go to that document and put that in there, and it's out of your head and it's ready for you when you're ready for it. Okay, so step 3 is out of the items left, out of your complete marketing list, anything you haven't crossed off, is there anything you could do very quickly, easily, and for little or no money? And you want to circle these items. And the reason I want you to do this is because, number one, there's something about a sense of accomplishment that really just feels great and kind of gets you motivated. So if there's something you can do, let's say you haven't listed your business on like Google My Business yet, that's something you could do in no time at all. So, go on and do that. Just anything that's on there that you can do really quickly, easily, and for little or no money, circle those items. And then along with kind of that sense of accomplishment is you're going to start to build some momentum. So sometimes we become so overwhelmed and so confused and intimidated that we enter a state of kind of paralysis and we don't do anything. And sometimes we need a little kick in the butt to get started. So doing these quick and easy tasks can sometimes be that little fire under our butt that we need and really get that momentum going. So now step 4 is you're going to go through that list and you're going to choose the top 3 items that make the most sense to start with, that you have the resources to do right now, and that you're most excited about. And you're going to circle these items. And just to note, like I suggested that you do 3, but that's honestly just a suggestion. I think that, we can be working on different things at the same time. You just don't want to be working on too many things so you lose focus. So I think it's really going to depend on like the size of the project. So let's say you do decide to do a content marketing campaign or whatever, like you're going to create an ebook and you're going to figure out how to advertise it on social media. Like that's a pretty big project. So I wouldn't take on too many other things. Like maybe you want to also take on keeping up with your social media or something that's ongoing, but you get the idea. Like you're going to know what makes sense for you and what you have the time and money and creativity to do at any one point. So you're going to basically pick out your top priorities, and these are going to be the tactics and strategies that we're going to start with. So step 5 is now we're going to create a new list. So this is essentially going to be your marketing plan. So you want to get out a new piece of paper or use your workbook. And what you're going to do is you're just going to transfer those items. So you're going to start with those items in step 1 that you need to do to prepare. So again, if like you need to give your website a little freshening up, if you need to kind of pay a little attention to your social media, whatever things in that step 1 that you need to do to prepare, I suggest you put those on the top of your to-do list or your marketing plan. Then you're going to want to follow that by the items that you can do quickly, easily, and for little or no money. And then your top picks. So this is now going to be your priority marketing plan. Like these are the things, we only have so much time. So these are going to be the things that you really want to focus on and accomplish these before you move on to something else. So step 6 is you're going to go through all those projects on your marketing plan, and you're going to estimate how long you think it will take to complete each one. And then you're going to set a completion date, goal date. So I want you to add this date to your calendar. Be realistic, but I want you to push yourself at the same time. So let's say your first thing on your list is that you want to freshen up your website, like we talked about. So maybe you think, oh, you know what? There's not a whole lot that needs to be done. I can do that in like 3 weeks. So you're going to kind of go out 3 weeks and you're going to set that completion date. Content marketing campaign for you to launch it might, it's probably going to be longer than a few weeks. So again, just kind of estimate based on your resources how long a project's going to take, and let's set that goal date for each one. Next, we're going to go through each item on your marketing plan. So those same projects we just talked about, just maybe your website or content marketing campaign, whatever. And we're going to take a separate sheet of paper for each of those projects. And then we're going to write down all of the steps that it's going to take to accomplish. And you're going to want to include steps needed to research if necessary, and or to like find help if that's something you need. So let's go back to our example with the website. So let's say that you set out your goal for 2 or 3 weeks ahead, and you're like, okay, well, what do I need to do? Well, I need to go through my photos and figure out which ones best represent my brand. I'm going to add those to my website. I need to go through and look at all my verbiage on my website and make sure it's in line with my marketing message. And then I want to add online scheduling to my website. So those 3 things, you're going to kind of write all of those steps out. Again, so let's say you go and then you're going to go to your content marketing campaign and you're going to take out another sheet of paper. Well, with this one, this kind of might be a new area for you. So you're not quite sure exactly how to do a content marketing campaign. So one of your steps may be, I need to research this. I need to find out how to create an effective content marketing campaign. Or maybe you need to hire a consultant like me to help you walk you through that and help you, know what the best avenues to advertise and verbiage and all of that. So add those, research steps in. And then your next steps may be like creating your ebook. And then once that's created, creating your landing page, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. You're going to write out all the steps that it's going to take to accomplish each one of those separate projects. Okay, and then step 8. So now we have each of those projects, and you've kind of estimated a completion date. We have each of the steps that it's going to take to do each project. We're going to want to create now our to-do list. So this is going to be all of the things that we need to do for all of the projects. And really, this is going to vary. What you do first, second, third is going to really be based on a lot of different factors. Obviously, there's certain steps that need to be done before other steps, but let's say you're working on several projects at the same time. You can kind of juggle between them a little bit, but again, you don't want to be doing too many things at once. So go through and figure out what needs to be done in kind of chronological order. And of course, like I said, this is kind of based on your completion date as well. And make your to-do list and organize it however it makes sense to you. So like for me, I like to use my Google Calendar, and every week I create a to-do list that I like to do it weekly instead of daily. I like to have kind of weekly goals. So I'll go through and I'll create on my Google Calendar a to-do list that's basically Monday through Friday. And I'm going to go through my big project to-do list, all those things that we figured out needed to be done. And I'm going to set those goals for myself for that week. So I'm going to get this blog post written this week. I'm going to call, I'm going to call someone about helping me with the content marketing, whatever those steps are, organize them in a way that you can reference them and have them easy to see and follow through with. And if there are any items that will be ongoing, such as social media posts, videos, that type of thing, create a realistic schedule that you feel confident that you can commit to, and then you're going to want to add those to your calendar as well. So let's say that, you want to make sure you're posting something on social media every other day. So you might want to plug that into your calendar, obviously on a daily or weekly basis. So you get the point. Anything that's ongoing, add that to your calendar so you can kind of keep up with that and keep organized. And then your next step is once your marketing efforts are up and running, you're going to want to continually test, analyze, and really perfect each one. When you find a strategy or tactic that works really well, then duplicate it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like duplicate that. Whatever you're doing that's working, keep doing it and finding out other ways that you can do that same process. If there's a strategy or tactic that's not working, then you want to stop putting your efforts there. But I will make a note on that. Just make sure that you really do analyze and test things first before you dismiss them. So the first thing that kind of comes to mind is like social media advertising or AdWords, like Google. A lot of people will kind of throw an ad up, throw a little bit of money, and then they're like, ugh, I didn't see nothing happened. Like this isn't working. I'm not going to do it. But especially something like that really takes some testing. Like what marketing message is resonating? There's so many different like demographics and, targeting that you can use. So those are the type of things that you really need to see how they're doing, try different versions, test it, and really do your due diligence in testing it before you do dismiss something. And finally, step 10. So once you've completed the initial goals that you have on your marketing plan, you're going to want to go back to your complete marketing list that was compiled in steps 1 and 2 and just simply choose the next goals you want to work on. So this is step 10 is basically just rinse and repeat. You're just going to start over again. So again, once you cross those things off your list, once you have a little bit more time, just pick the next things that you want to work on, and that's it. So let me do a quick recap for you of those 10 steps. Step 1 is going to be to prepare. So that's where you're going to want to go through and just make sure everything's on point for when you do have that influx of potential new clients coming in, that they don't fall through the cracks, that you've got everything in place, your marketing materials, your website, your systems, so that you can turn those potential customers into paying customers. Step 2 is going to be that process of elimination where you go through your list and you cross off everything that doesn't make sense and isn't relevant to your business. And then step 3 is you're going to go through that list and you're going to do anything that can be done very quickly, easily, and for little or no money. And then of course, step 1 and step 3, you'll probably only need to do once. You may need to do little tweaks here and there, but those should be something that can be done the first time you kind of work through this marketing plan. Step 4 is you're going to go through and you're going to choose those things that make the most sense to you, that use the most, that are the best use of your resources. And those are going to be the first marketing strategies and tactics that you're going to begin to work on. And then step 5 is going to be to create that marketing plan. Step 6 is where you're going to go through, you're going to estimate the completion time that all those projects are going to take. And then you're going to write out the steps for each one of those projects. And then you're going to go through and you're going to create that to-do list, and you're going to put them in order of how long they're going to take you, days, weeks, and months, so that you have a really solid plan to focus on. Step 9 is where you're going to test and analyze. Remember that you always want to do your due diligence. Make sure that you try different variations of things before you dismiss it. And then when you do find those things that work really well, definitely want to repeat those things. And then finally, step 10, once you have projects completed and you have a little bit more time on your hands, you're going to go back to that list and you're going to start all over again. You're just going to pick the next things that are the most relevant and make the most sense for your business. And that's it. You now have a marketing plan. It doesn't have to be complicated. It's really just about that planning and getting those 5 fundamentals in place, and then deciding what is the best use of my time, money, and creativity right now. What is going to have the greatest potential for bringing in the most clients and the most money to my business. And that's it. So I just want to thank you so much for joining me. I hope this video has been helpful, has given you a little knowledge, a little guidance to really create a really effective and strategic marketing plan. So I'm here if you need me. Here's my contact information, and I wish you nothing but the absolute best of luck in everything you do. Thanks again. Bye.